Leading the Orbit 2 team that just came on console is NASA Flight Director Fiona Turret. And then Chris Mundy is going to be the lead spacewalk officer for today. He'll be in the back row of the room. And then NASA astronaut Nick Hague, you can see there right in the center in that gray suit. He's going to be our spacewalk support captain, also known as our ground IV. So we're going to hear him talking directly to Frank and Josh as they're working outside. Now, the goal of today is to install a new iROSA, one of those roll-out solar arrays. And this is part of an ongoing plan that's been stretched over the last couple of years that we're starting to get to the final stages of. So in this graphic, you can see 3B, 1A, 2A, 4B. Each one of those number and letter combinations correspond to a power channel. We have 8 power channels supported by the pairs of solar arrays on board the International Space Station. Everything in blue, we've already installed an array. And so you can see on the right side those smaller arrays that are kind of canted up at an angle over 4B and 2B. That shows you how these look once they're installed and completely unfurled. They cover a small amount of the legacy arrays, but once everything is installed, once all 6 iROSAs have been completely installed, we're going to be increasing the power capability, the power generation capability on board the space station by about 30%. And these are brand new arrays, so they'll be able to last throughout the remainder of the lifetime of the International Space Station, as we're looking at continuing to have this orbiting laboratory until at least 2030. So we're going to be increasing the station's power generator to about 250 kilowatts total, an increase of about 30%. Now today we are going to be working on 4A, so that in that bottom right side you can see 4A. The mounting hardware has already been installed, and today we're going to be bringing out one of these iROSAs to install them. Now this is what the iROSA looks like after it's unfolded but not completely unfurled. So each of these rides up in the trunk of a SpaceX Dragon spacecraft, and after they are able to carry them out there, so in the top left, that's what they look like right now. They're folded up. And then once they get them out to the work site, that top right is what it looks like. Is they're going to manually unfold them. We'll have both Josh and Frank out at the work site. One of them is going to be Josh Cassada, in today's spacewalk is going to be riding the robotic arm to carry those arrays from their temporary stow location out to the work site to install on 4 Alpha, 4A, and then they'll work to unfold them. And then there's a number of bolts and then different cable interfaces. So that mandrel hinge, that assembly bolt, that's going to be hand tightened, and that's what's going to essentially lock them in place after it's been unfolded. The NZGL stands for the NASA Zero Gravity Lever. That's just a reference to the cable type that we're going to be using. But those cable interfaces are what we're going to be attaching to integrate the new iROSA array with the existing array on the 4A power channel and plugging both of those in, essentially a wide junction. So you'll have one going to the power source from the existing array, one to the new array. That plugs into 4A, and then both are providing power to the channel. And then those blanket tensioner bolts, those will be 2 of the last things that they're responsible for releasing. Once those are released, it engages a mechanism that pulls down on some wire, essentially to provide some tension. As after these are unfurled, just like the existing arrays, they're going to be moved over time. These arrays can automatically track the sun, make sure we're harvesting as much energy as possible for the station systems, and so having that extra rigidity will help out. And just continuing real quick through the rest, so once these iROSAs are bolted in place, they're going to be deployed. They'll release a special bracket, and then 2 booms on either side will unfurl the arrays in the middle. If you look at those pictures on the right, the white section are the booms. Now we'll see those unfurl. The best way I've heard them described so far came from our lead spacewalk officer for today. They essentially work like if you took a straw, split it right down the middle, and rolled it up. If you unfurled it, it naturally tries to retain a circular shape, essentially go back to being a straw. That's more or less the concept behind these booms. They also have these magnets that will lock in place as it unfurls. and those will be one of the primary visual aids for the spacewalkers, who are just going to be giving these constant updates as it unfurls to help lock it in place. In total, they're pretty large. They weigh just around 750 pounds each. Here's all the dimensions. So pretty sizable.
The next thing for you is going to be retrieving the socket caddy from inside the crew lock bag Tango and stowing it on the external using a ret, and then you're going to do your socket swap for the 12-inch 716.
Full test on the install.
That's good news. And so, Josh, you're going to translate over to the Charlie 12 bolt, and that's near stanchion Alpha.
We don't see any EV camera views. Is it expected?
Yep, you're thinking the same thing that I am. There's no spring loading or anything, so when you loosen it up, if it doesn't rotate out of its way, you may have to nudge it. 6 to 10 turns. Yep, 6 to 10 turns. You're going just to loosen it. Don't exceed those 10. It's not captive.
It's engaged. And then I have 3 soft captures in a proper location.
And right now, Frank Rubio making his way over to join Josh Cassada at this FSE where the solar array is currently stowed. Cassada working to remove that second anti-rotation device, and then once that's out, he'll be done with that task. He'll swap out one of the sockets on his pistol grip tool before they get ready to remove the support beams.
And that's affirmative. The orientation of the block doesn't matter. We're just trying to secure it so drive to torque.
Okay, sounds good. Bravo 1, close 2 is set. Thank you. And that Charlie 8 is released, 9 turns.
Copy, 9 turns, good release on Charlie 8.
All right, now this view, we see both of our spacewalkers for today.
So I got like 2-inch on here, Frank and Nick. Okay, copy.
Good readback.
So instead of leaving these bolts driven in with more than 25 foot-pounds of torque, leaving a lot of potential energy in if we're hard stopped, they're backing them out, dropping it down to a lower torque setting, that alpha 4, which gives about 6 pounds of torque. And then they're going to reseat them, have these bolts securely in place, and then we'll be able to continue on.
Nick, I'll go to the bag for my...
I think we have to stagger a translation.
Yeah, you're right.
And we can see right in the center there, the robotic arm starting to move. You can see jutting out of the right side, that's the foot restraint that Cassada is going to be locking into. So our lead spacewalker for the day, Frank Rubio, still at it, releasing those final 2 bolts. They're C11 and C12. He took C11 about halfway out, now taking C12 all the way out. We won't take C11 all the way out and thus release iROSA until Josh Cassada is in place and ready to manually receive it.
See good motion.
Copy, good motion.
So looking over the shoulder of Josh Cassada as he moves in, iROSA right in the center of his view. Frank Rubio appearing upside down in the top right, getting that final bolt.
Copy. So I'm keeping you...
Well, I can see it.
Clear on this side, and we have about 1 inch, so I think you're clear on the other side.
I agree.
Looks like we're clear all around. Continue.
We continue.
All right, Josh, in about 10 more degrees, I'm going to be letting go.
Okay.
Still clear all around. Continue.
We continue.
All right, Josh, I'm going to let go in 3, 2, 1. Letting go just lightly. I'm going to keep my fingers very lightly but not touching. Right, feet away from the tower by about 1 inch. You're clear of all the stanchions. The bottoms of the beam are past the plate. About 5 more inches till you're completely clear.
See good motion.
All right, so the relocation of iROSA now in work. We can see the FSE pallet in the bottom right where Frank Rubio is doing some final bag inventory. He had to swap out the socket on his pistol grip tool one final time, as that's going to get used to drive a number of bolts on iROSA itself to secure it. But in the meantime, the robotic arm is in motion. Josh Cassada at the very top with iROSA in his grip on his way out to the work site.
How's it going, Josh?
Great. So you remember when we did that water in the helmet check?
Yeah.
That's when I raised my visor.
Oh, no. Sorry.
Yep. There's that planet.
And Frank, I see you picked up the red hook there. You'll want to check your gauntlets are in place.
They are, both left and right.
Okay, Josh, we are ramping out.
Copy.
And so, Frank, the handrail you're looking for is 5124.
On the opposite side, correct?
That's affirm.
Okay, Josh, arm is in position hold, and we're going to set up for a lineup.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for your help on that one.
So that's up.
And Frank, if you can put a fair lead in Josh's safety tether at 5114 there at the corner.
Well, excellent.
And just crossed that 3-hour mark into today's spacewalk. So right now we're looking over the shoulder of Frank Rubio, EV1, our lead spacewalker for today. He's making his way over to the P4 work site. He was there already once as he laid down some of the cables that are going to be used to integrate the new solar array into the power channel along with the legacy array. So he's making his way by hand. In the meantime, Josh Cassada still in the foot restraint on top of the robotic arm. He's got iROSA in his grip. There's a look through his helmet cam. He is a little bit of a ways away from station structure, so the video can kind of come in and out as he's getting flown over. But he's got iROSA in his hands.
Which will place you under the IEA, and this is a 2-minute JOCAS, and we'll move you body out about 5.5 meters and body left about 1 meter. And again, this is a translational JOCAS, so the motion will be faster than the pitch motion. Ready for the motion.
Okay, copy. Towards my back, about a little over 5, and towards my left, 1.5 meters. I do not have the IEA in sight. I am ready for the maneuver.
Okay, here comes the motion in 3, 2, 1, starting the motion. Okay, Josh, we are ramping out.
Okay. Copy that, thank you.
Hey, Josh.
Hi, Frank.
So our spacewalker is working in tandem again. Right now, Josh Cassada working to remove that scoop. That was just that temporary handling aid that he had on iROSA.
I'm trying.
Okay.
I'm just going to let it load here. Go here. Okay. Okay.
Okay, let's translate it towards me when you're ready.
I'm ready, and you just guide. I think you need to pull it towards feet. Oh, not that way. I think it's not parallel with the mod kit right now.
No, it's not yet. Well, let's translate it towards me first, and then we'll another 10 centimeters.
You mean towards the left side of the mod kit, not into the mod kit yet?
Correct.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. And it's at a pretty good angle right now, so you're going to have to pull your hand towards you. There you go.
Okay. All right, so now we're going to roll my end towards the IEA, about 10 degrees.
Okay, you're going to have to pull a little bit towards you. Okay. Or pull towards the IEA.
Are you able to push your end towards your feet?
It's, hold on for 1 second. Okay. For some reason, your end is not going. Okay. Let's just get going towards the mod kit, and then we'll adjust it once we're in
There
close.
you go. Just a couple more degrees.
It needs to slide a little bit towards the left side of the mod kit. It looks like to line up on that air.
Affirmative.
Okay. Yeah, that's too far, maybe. What do you think?
Looks about right from my end.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay, and now we can just go towards the tabs. It's pitched down. It's trying to pitch up a little bit.
Oh, watch the roll. Watch the roll.
Yep. Hold on, give me a second.
There you go. Hold there. Stabilize it. Okay. I'm going to start bringing this. Yeah.
Yeah, slide under real quick. I think I'm going to be able to control it a lot better.
Hold on. Hold on.
Okay, I got it.
That's good. You can let go there.
Okay.
Go ahead, let go.
Okay. Do you mind if I slide under? Be able to help you a lot more.
Nope, that's okay. Just watch your helmet on the...
Yep, thank you. Okay, ready? Through the soft. Now, there you go. Perfect.
I'm going to go nice and slow on any rotations here.
The top left, you can see some of the bolts sticking out. Those are going to be the hard capture. Those two handles you see are going to be our soft capture mechanism. So crew just working on aligning iROSA, getting it in place.
Watch your helmet. There you go. That one went down. Okay, I see good motion. Continue.
Copy.
And ramp out in 3, 2, 1.
Ramping out.
Okay. It's going to work fine. GC complete.
GC complete. You have a go for unbolting.
Counterclockwise to understand 18 to 20 turns.
Good readback.
And we're on R6. All right. Certain turns.
All right, so Josh Cassada right now releasing the final hinge restraint. Once this is released, we'll be able to start unfolding the iROSA array. So before that happens, Cassada is going to have to stow his PGT, and then he's going to back off away from iROSA on the robotic arm. He's going to get out of that foot restraint and start making his way back over. And then once he gets into position, over on the other side of the mounting bracket, Frank Rubio is going to slowly start to pivot, and that's going to allow iROSA to start to unfold.
I see the wave volume.
See him right here. Nicole Mann's our M1, our robotics lead. She's been the one controlling the arm so far today, while Koichi takes the comm duties, speaking directly to Josh Cassada and Frank Rubio outside. All right, so again, Josh Cassada using that pistol grip tool first to do the initial turning on these final 2 bolts to secure iROSA in the unfolded position. He then backed them off 1 turn each, and now just using this to hand tighten, as we didn't want too much torque on these bolts. They were actually designed for a little bit less than the minimum torque possible using that pistol grip tool. So this hand tool, our workaround. We used the pistol grip tool at first because otherwise doing the full tightening with the hand tool would be pretty torturous on a crew member. So lesson learned from earlier spacewalks.
Copy. Good install on R7.
And it looks like R7 complete. Next up's going to be R8.
Red folks on the caps.
Affirmative.
Nick, if you agree, I'm going to go up and get my 55-foot anchor off of the arm.
Affirmative, Josh. You got a good tether pack, so you're good to pull your anchor.
Nick, my 35, I had... Is that the black line? Is that the white antenna?
That's awesome. Give me 1 second. Okay.
Again, at this moment in our spacewalk today, we're just shy of 4.5 hours. The iROSA solar array has been installed onto its mounting bracket. Both Frank Rubio driving all 8 bolts to secure it in place after working with Josh Cassada to get it unfolded. They started some of the cable mating work, connecting the cables to the NZGLs, the NASA zero gravity levers. That's just the cable interface that they have on these power cables. They've started some of that cable routing with the connections made to the iROSA. We will not do...
It's going to fit. I have to open the other side.
We will not do the routing to integrate those in with the existing solar array until we're in eclipse, and that's coming up in a little less than 30 minutes from now.
Right.
Okay. I'm happy to help unless you think that's too many cooks in the kitchen.
What do you think? No, this one I might take you up on because it's a bear.
Let's do it.
And guys, while you're putting the bag inside there, we will want to end up with a ret that comes from the inside to the outside to grab the scoop later.
Right there.
Okay.
Use that.
Have it.
I'll take that one off. Velcro down.
And if you want, you can just use that one that's right there at the bag lid as the ret for the scoop. Josh, if you're in a decent position, teams on the ground would like to get a heck of view of your load alleviating strap on your red reel. In some of the video frames before, we thought we saw some red stitching showing.
Awesome. Good to know. Thanks, Nick.
Sounds great. Thank you for that tip. Sun wasn't in my eyes for the last 10 minutes. Here we go.
That's it. But, keep it in motion.
Copy. We see the release and deployment.
Second bolt release, iROSA now deploying. We're going to see, and again, there's no mechanism to make this unfurl. It's doing it all with the stored energy of the array itself. And the white sections you see on either side, so those are the booms, those are going to unfurl and tend to curl up, similar to, as we were talking about, if you were to take a straw, cut it lengthwise, roll it up, and then just let it go, it would naturally just try to curve back into that circular structure. And that's what those booms are going to be doing. There's a series of magnets the crew's also going to be keeping an eye on.
Body back about 3 or 4 degrees that help our view.
Okay.
That's much better. Thank you. A little bit further would be even perfect.
Okay.
And Frank, we can just barely make out those magnets. I think all 5 of them have clicked closed at this point.
I've got 4 and there are 5. All 5 are clicked.
Okay, copy. Thank you.
Good job, Josh.
Nicely done.
Finally run that microwave we've been wanting to run.
Nick, do you know where we are over the planet?
Yeah, you're just south of Alaska, getting ready to go do a pass down the west coast.
Awesome. Morning.
You might even be over Houston by the time the deployment finishes.
That's pretty cool.
So the array continuing to unfurl. The view that Josh Cassada is getting right now as it unfurls away from him after he released those two launch restraint bolts.
You can see air traffic. Good. Yeah, there's a contrail. There. Oh, yeah, I see it.
And that view from Frank Rubio's, if you look at the booms on the side, you can see they kind of curl up after they continue to deploy. This is a look at the very far end. You can see all of the solar cells in the middle there, and those booms as they continue to stretch out, they essentially snap together into that circular structure, and then they have magnets that are helping to help them maintain that structure once they snap in.
And Frank, Josh, while we hold position and wait for the deployment to finish, just kind of give you a heads up on the way forward, at least near-term steps. We've got the tensioner bolts that we're going to do, and then we'll move into kind of cleaning up the scoop and the cable bag, and then we'll focus on trying to get the arm clean and FSC in a good config.
Okay, sounds great.
Copy that.
We're continuing to watch as these unfurl. Again, as you can see, they're covering up some of the solar cells on the existing arrays, which are still tied in to the power channel. But these new ones coming in with a higher efficiency, obviously brand new, so haven't lost any of that efficiency that you lose over time and being exposed to that harsh environment of space. We're going to be able to increase our actual power output. So we're aiming to have 6 of these total eventually deployed on the International Space Station, this rollout solar array technology. We did an initial test of this type of array several years ago on the space station, just to see how the mechanisms worked, how the power generation worked, and then ultimately culminating in some permanent additions to the station. This same type of rollout solar array technology used on the NASA DART mission, which was our asteroid redirect.
It's that storm.
Yeah, it's crazy how big it is.
Affecting the entire country.
And we are passing.
Coming up on the Pacific Northwest.
Okay.
Just about to pass over the Pacific Northwest, and as any of our viewers in America are aware, there's some pretty significant winter weather hitting a lot of the country, so our crew members getting a view from about 260 statute miles above. While this rollout solar array almost done deploying, we'll note the same type of solar array, this rollout technology, going to be used on NASA's Gateway station around the moon as well. That's going to be our launching point for the Artemis program and future lunar landings, eventually establishing that sustainable lunar presence on the moon. So our crew members continuing to stand by, observing the rollout after this deployment sequence is complete. We'll have a couple of final steps. For Josh Cassada, he's going to have 2 blanket tensioner bolts that he is going to release. These essentially activate a spring that it's going to pull on some internal wire to the solar array itself to add some tension, which will be necessary as we're maneuvering and gimbaling the solar arrays, as we always try to point them to track the sun.
Look at the mountains.
Off to our right.
Yeah, it's coming right nadir right now. Between, I don't know if you can see between the 2 solar arrays.
Wow. That is a lot of snow. Biggest Sierra Nevadas, I'm guessing.
Okay, guys, we have confirmed we've got a good deployment on iROSA. So, Josh, you're go to move into position to do the tensioner bolts R11 and 12.
Again, their star is out, and I felt it react. And it's about a 1/4 inch. It doesn't exactly pop out. Do you want it? Do you want more turns on that?
And we're good with more turns.
The teeth are... Okay, you can see in the heck, I can see that it's the teeth are no longer engaged on the tensioner itself.
Yep, and you can't overdrive it, so.
Okay. I think we're good on R12.
Copy, good release on R12. And so, Josh, once you stow your PGT, we'll want to do a once-over on the mod kit to make sure all the MLI is in place. The one piece of equipment we've still got out there is the scoop. So if you want to grab that scoop.
Yep, happy to do it. Stand by for 1 second, Frank. So, my PGT, the ret is not going back where I expected it to be going to. Can you see?
Yep, it's wrapped around your extender.
My extender?
Yep. Your gearing extender. I think you might just want to let it be, or you'll have to undo your PGT.
So with the iROSA installed, deployed, and connected successfully, we're moving into some of the cleanup steps. One that we're seeing them work right now is getting one of those scoops, which are the...
Sounds good.
That looks good, Frank.
So I guess I should go. I think we're okay, but I guess I'll defer to Nick on that one. I don't know.
Yeah, Frank, you're good to translate back in. It shouldn't take Josh long to work on the MLI.
So I don't know if you can see this. It looks like when I put Josh's red hook on my red Rio, it probably spun a couple times. There's a full 2 wraps here. I think I'm good to go up to the FFE. I just want to make sure you guys see that you're okay with it.
Meanwhile, Josh Cassada is doing some cleanup work on the robotic arm.
I see good motion.
We're hearing the voice now of Koichi Wakata, who's at the mobile workstation inside the station's Destiny laboratory right next to
10 meters to go.
Right next to NASA astronaut Nicole Mann, who's at the controls. And 6 hours 53, coming up on 54 minutes into the spacewalk. That clock's going to continue counting until we get, but again, that clock going to continue to count. So right now they've worked to get the thermal cover closed, so we're into the very end stages of our spacewalk today.
Just want to say outstanding job today. You made it look easy and routine.
Ryan, thanks so much to you and the entire team. Great job again. All the people who helped plan and execute this, so thank you guys. Appreciate it. Josh, you got anything?
Same words. Can't thank you guys enough. Don't know about routine. Certainly didn't feel that way. That one felt like a lion fight, but I think the program was asking Santa for a news, and that team just made it happen.
I got to say, you've got a lot of people who are very glad that their holiday plans are still secure.
Hey, we're incredibly happy that that's the case.
Frank and I are going to put in for some leave.
Chuckles all around the room.
And some words there at the end of a long but very successful day from our two spacewalkers, Frank Rubio and Josh Cassada, as well as our ground IV, the voice you've heard from Mission Control walking them through all the procedures today, NASA astronaut Nick Hague. At this point, we're just waiting. We've got a 2-minute timer after the water turns off before we start moving into the actual repressurization of that section of the Quest airlock and getting confirmation the hatch now open. And with that, Koichi Wakata and Nicole Mann able to start bringing Frank Rubio, Josh Cassada back inside of the equipment lock. They're going to help them get helmets off, get out of their suits, make their way back into the station after an extremely successful day today. Again, just to recap, 7 hours, 8 minutes of spacewalking time today. Fully successful, able to remove that rollout solar array from its temp stow location, get it out to its new home, powering the 4A power channel. Successfully installed, unfurled, integrated in, and already generating electricity. So that's 4 out of 6 iROSA arrays now installed on the International Space Station. So very successful day, the third spacewalk for this duo just in the last couple of months and in their careers together. So a couple of quick stats for you before we go away. This was the 257th spacewalk in support of station assembly, maintenance, and upgrades. This was the 12th spacewalk on the station in 2022, and the 4th that was accomplished during Expedition 68, third U.S. one, and the first Russian. And this was the third spacewalk of both Cassada and Rubio's career, both of them now with a cumulative spacewalking time of 21 hours and 24 minutes. So all told, these 257 spacewalks now give us a lifetime of over 1,600 hours, 1,630 hours, 26 minutes of spacewalking. That translates to 67 days, 22 hours, and 26 minutes.